I'm Captain Meck, a Brit who is fascinated by America and its food. Today I'm making mac and cheese, or should that be Meck and cheese? Welcome Meccaneers. First, a disclaimer, I have had mac and cheese before. We do have it here in the UK, but it has always struck me as a very American dish. But did it originate in America? And if not, where does it come from? Let's find out in Meck's research. The origins of mac and cheese were pasta and cheese casseroles in 14th century Italy and medieval England. US President Thomas Jefferson brought the recipe to the United States after eating it in Paris. At a state dinner in 1802, the president served a pie called macaroni. Baked macaroni and cheese has been popular in the US ever since. And I, for one, can't wait for a bit of cheesy goodness. Chin chin! A quick aside, you can become a super Meccaneer. Get yourself some exclusive loyalty badges, some custom emojis to use in your comments, priority replies to your comments, member shoutouts, and be throwing me a little bit of support along the way. All for the price of a cup of coffee. To find out more, click the join button at the top of my channel. I asked my Meccaneers in the community tab of my channel for recipes and tips and tricks to make an American style mac and cheese, if such a thing existed. Let's see what I found out in Ask the Audience. My 4 big takeaways from Ask the Audience this week are: number 1, there are 2 ways to cook mac and cheese: in the oven as a casserole or on the stovetop. Number 2, you can make mac and cheese from scratch, or if you really can't be bothered, you can just buy it in a blue box from Kraft. We do not have those boxes in the UK, by the way. Number 3, many recipes use Velveeta, which is a type of processed cheese in America. We can't get that in the UK. I had never heard of it before starting making this video. The closest thing we have would be Dairy Lee slices or Kraft singles. Number 4, much like chili and meatloaf, every family seems to have their own individual recipe for mac and cheese. So you can start with the basic recipe and then chuck loads and loads of stuff in and pimp it as much as you want. Thank you Meccaneers for all the information. I have been well educated now. Today I'm going to make a baked mac and cheese cooked from scratch. I've decided to use cheddar and Gruyere. I'm quite tempted by the idea of jalapenos and bacon in there. So what I might do is actually make a kind of 3-in-1 mac and cheese. In the casserole dish, literally, I'm going to have 3 sections, one with bacon, one with jalapenos, and then the nice sort of vanilla version on the end. I'm going to use the recipe from Alton Brown. I will put a link to it in the description below. So, let's get cooking. And I'm back in the loft. with my mac and cheese. You'll notice it didn't quite go to plan. I realised once I started cooking I had no jalapenos, so that went out the window. So then I just used the bacon and made it into a bacon mac and cheese in the end. Okay, here goes, mac and cheese. Oh, that is super cheesy. The bacon works really well, just to give it a bit of salty smokiness. Macaroni and cheese could be called bland if you made the very, very basic version, which I guess is why children like it so much. The very, very simple, subtle cheese sauce. But for adults, you're going to want a bit more punchy flavour most of the time. Smoked bacon in there, bang, lifts it straight up. The macaroni is so interesting because you don't really have macaroni in any other pasta dish. I only would ever use it for macaroni and cheese, so I'm not used to it. It's still sort of quite a novelty. You wouldn't think the size or shape of pasta would make that much difference to a dish, but it really does. And you try telling that to an Italian as well. Nah, it's all pretty much the same. It's still pasta. No, it matters hugely, and also affects the way that the sauce clings onto the pasta as well, depending on what shape it is, whether it's tubes, whether it's spaghetti or tagliatelle. Cheesy goodness all the time. Cheesy goodness, make it rhyme. Cheesy goodness in my mouth. Cheesy goodness, I'm heading south. I can't do made up rhymes. Scoring the mac and cheese. Okay, let's work down the criteria. Appeal, top marks for appeal. It is melty, cheesy, pasta-y goodness. What is not to love about that? Most people are going to look at that and go, oh, it looks gorgeous. They want to dive straight in with their swimming trunks on. Ease of making. Well, it depends whether you go for this mystical blue box I've heard so much about, or the way I did it. Now, obviously, most people will say cooking it from scratch, you're going to get a better result in the end, and that is super tasty. But you can go for the super easy version with the craft blue box. So, ease of making, either or, it's kind of up to you. Taste, the basic vanilla version is perfectly good and it will satisfy most palates, but the great thing about mac and cheese is that you can pimp it up so much. Bacon, jalapenos, hamburger mac and cheese, that was one. Shred up hamburgers and mix that all through there, amazing. So overall, pretty good. Of course, I've had cheesy pasta before. I've probably had mac and cheese before at some point. So it hasn't got the novelty factor for me that some of the other high scorers have. It's not the biscuits and gravy, it's not the buffalo chicken wings, which were alien to me and blew me away. So it's going to be in the 80s. It's going to be a strong 80, I think. I'm going to go for 87. 87 Meck points for mac and cheese. So let's take a look at the scoreboard and see where things stand after the 87 points for mac and cheese. Aha! So it just tucks in under corn dogs. Corn dogs is 1 point more. Am I happy with that? Yeah, but 1 point above funnel cakes. Yeah, I'm happy with that as well. So, a good score for mac and cheese, not earth-shattering. I hope I did mac and cheese proud for you Americans. I know it sounds like it started here in England and Italy, but you guys have taken it and made your own thing, so that in my mind, it's much more American than it is anything else. So I hope I did a good job. Hold on, what's going on here? Bonus footage. In my editing, I realised that I'd lost the bit where I say thanks very much, see you next week. I searched for it everywhere. I looked in cupboards, under carpets, I went out in the bins, could not find it. So, here it is. Like and subscribe if you so wish. Join at the top of my channel and keep an eye on my community tab for what I will be making next week. Love you guys, you are awesome. Captain Meck, out.